5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Please do not change channel.
From Krypton Radio, brought to you by Famous Faces and Funnies and Off the Chain with Yvonne Mason, it's the Hanging with Web Show Radio Hour, the Internet's premier pop culture talk radio show. You're tuned in, you're logged on, and now your hosts, G.W. Pomichter and Christian Basel. Who you hanging with?
Hello, Krypton Radio. Welcome to the Hangin' with Web Show's Radio Hour. I'm G.W. Pomichter.
I'm Christian Basel. Welcome back, everybody.
And we are here tonight. We're going to have a great chat, talk, visit. I ran out of ways to say we're going to hang out. Anyway, we're gonna hang out with Jon St. tonight. We're going to talk about the voices of pop culture. And, you know, increasingly in our world of sci-fi, fantasy, pop culture, animation and, animation, we used to think of animation as being that, thing that we did when we were little for kids. But increasingly, video game animation and adult animation, satire, has become a mainstream part of pop culture. We're going to talk about that with one of pop culture's most recognizable voices. That's funny that I could say it, one of, because not really. He's several of pop culture's most recognizable voices. Mr. Jon St. is going to join us, and we're going to have a great chat about that, about the increasing roles of voice actors and jobs and stuff and people and places and characters and
stuff.
We're going to talk about some stuff. Yeah, we're going to do that. But you know what? Let's start out and hit the news with our very own Seijia.
Stick.
Well, this just in. Christian wants to hit me with a stick.
That is not just in. That has been that way.
Okay.
She said it with a smile.
This is our second hour. All y'all on Krypton Radio, before we record the Hangin' with Web Show Radio Hour, we also do our live webcast of the Hangin' with Web Show's Indie Music Spotlight. So we've been on for over an hour now. Christian has wanted to hit Sage with a stick for 57 minutes.
Is dick?
Oh my Lord! It goes
like dick.
I was running away.
And now Sage is stuck with images of Christian in the shower and
with the
in
alligator
boots.
No. Do you know what? It's funny because I'm going to segue to CBS's Big Bang Theory. How about that? They have decided to call it quits finally after their upcoming season 12, which is going to premiere in September. They've won 10 Emmys off of that show. Do you know that?
10 Emmys?
10 Emmys from the Big Bang Theory.
I just want to say the Big Bang Theory was the ushering in, kind of came right at the cusp, ushering nerd culture and geek culture into popular culture.
I didn't think it was a
Depends upon how
geeky
you
or
look
nerdy
upon it,
show.
because people looked at it, people that I've heard across the spectrum where people really enjoyed it. It was really funny. They saw their friends in it, and they kind of, they
except for none of my friends actually looked that good.
Everybody was in that show, and some of my friends were like, this is not really geek culture. This is just kind of a stereotype.
It really was sort of painting a picture of what was known as the stereotypical geek. But what was really fun was the fact that it brought so many of our favorite properties to light. And really, stereotypes exist for a reason. They exist because either at one time or from one perspective, that's the way people are seen. And of course, we've got the ultimate geek in Sheldon, and then we work our way down from there. But that's 12 seasons, calling it quits.
Yep.
All right.
They sure are.
All right. Thank you for 12 awesome years. I laughed my butt off for 12 years. So, wow.
Well, and I have some movie releases.
Yeah.
That are coming out September 14th. These two in particular. One is The Predator. Okay, Lawrence Fishburne is the Predator. Did you know that?
No.
Yes, this is actually
The Predator. Wait,
yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Do this again. What?
Lawrence Fishburne. He is starring in The Predator.
Yes.
And that's who he is.
He is, but he's starring as the Predator.
Yes.
And now, are we all? I mean, let's see. John, Christian, and I are all thinking, Predator.
It's exactly right.
And Lawrence Fishburne is the Predator.
Yes. And this is a direct sequel to the last two Predator films.
But he is the Predator.
Yes, even though you don't get to see him, he is under that
suit.
Will
we recognize him?
Maybe his...
Yeah. Wait, first of all, why do we care? Have anybody? We've all seen the Predator with the little Sharpie. Like,
I know.
Mandals.
Wait a minute. The Danny Glover sequel is actually being counted in this. We're letting this happen, really?
We are letting this happen. It's coming out September 14th. It's supposed
look,
to
not all of us
reinvigorate the franchise.
I was going to say, not all of us can George Lucas it and pretend things didn't happen.
Get that to the chopper.
That's right. We have to, whether you like it or not, it does exist. If you're George Lucas, you can try to pretend it didn't. But YouTube makes sure that you can't pretend it didn't, because that's where we saw
Star Wars Christmas. You can't
that's
pretend
right.
that doesn't exist.
I saw it on. I saw it on YouTube recently, actually. So
I got to ask a professional, John. Star Wars Christmas special, is that legit, or do we pretend that it didn't happen?
Sorry, I'm a Trekkie.
See,
there you go.
See, he pretends that none of it happened. You know. Go ahead. Right. What else you got?
Our other movie is Patient Zero.
Patient Zero.
Okay, Patient Zero, and it's Bloody Disgusting did an article, and they said it's really messy. But it's not very boring. They said it's definitely something that you would watch on Netflix. But I thought it was interesting because Stanley Tucci is in it, so is Natalie Dormer, and so is Matt Smith.
Huh.
And I heard something else interesting about Matt Smith.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
That he has landed a key role in Star Wars Episode 9.
Mm-hmm.
You know who's else returning in Episode 9, by the way?
Who?
Billy D. Williams. He's going to reprise Lando Calrissian.
Wow. Mm-hmm. You got a lot of stuff off the internet today. You got some kind of mad skills.
I do have mad skills.
Wow.
I have more mad skills. You want to know how many more mad skills I've got?
Yes.
Wouldn't you like to know?
Go ahead.
It's funny because I'm going to talk about Joan Collins next.
No, wait. Before you get to Joan Collins, my biggest fear about this is because they brought Matt Smith into the Terminator movie, and Arnold kind of boasted, is like, yeah, Doctor Who, he's a big part of science fiction, and he should be in the Terminator movie. And the fans were pissed because he just ended up being a hologram at the end, and really nothing much about him except from the very beginning and the very end. So I'm hoping when they say key role in the new Star Wars movie, they mean he's going to be in there more than 5 minutes, and he's not going to be a projection just like Luke Skywalker was at the very end, or some
I think
crap.
As much as it's fun to pick fun on Arnold, the reality is, though, every small role in a science fiction thing. Science fiction is one of the few places where you can go where some tiny role of a 3-line droid or a bounty hunter that has 7 minutes worth of film time in 3 movies
and says nothing
ends up being a hugely popular character. And Tim Matt Smith, standing up with him rather than for him, I'd say, look, you were Doctor Who, and that's amazing, that's fantastic. But you can't not work for the rest of your life. You have to take jobs, and you have to, build your repertoire, as it were. And Matt Smith is doing just that.
My favorite thing he's done so far has got to be Prince Philip from The Crown.
Valid. Absolutely. He's been
a doctor, a king, now he's going to be a Jedi.
There you go. What are you going to do? Well, he's not the last Jedi, guys. See what I did? That was horrible.
Went
from, Joan Collins.
Yeah, Joe, please rescue me.
Now,
Hurry,
we haven't seen Joan Collins for a while, but she is going to be joining the cast of American Horror Story Apocalypse.
Dude, wait a minute. Joan Collins is joining American Horror Story.
Yes.
Wow, because we didn't have enough women to fear in American Horror Story.
I think this is going to be awesome. Now, the Apocalypse is a crossover of Murder House and Coven. So there's going to be a lot of role reprisals. And they're going to pull a lot of stuff together. And
it's a crossover of what? Murder House?
Murder House and Coven.
Which is the first season, and Coven. Mm-hmm. Wow. They've done that a lot. They've actually dropped little Easter eggs into each season now, showing you that they're actually a shared universe.
I love that.
Which is really kind of cool, because it's an anthology series, so you don't know, and that'll be interesting. And I'm game for anything that says, American Horror Story Apocalypse. Wait a minute. John, will you deliver that for us? Because that just needs that requires a voice.
What do you need me to say?
American Horror Story Apocalypse.
American Horror Story Apocalypse.
There you go. See, that's what I'm talking about. Now everybody wants to see it.
I just got a boner from that. Anyway,
Don't hit me with it.
Christian's got some phallic issues this evening to work out.
Clearly.
boots in my shower.
It's the damn alligator boots again. Yeah.
I think if any actor, if I'm going to get a role in any TV series, I want it to be American Horror Story because I will have job security for at least 8 years. I bet they recycle actors over and over again, which is kind of cool.
It is. It's fun to see an anthology series that changes storylines every season. But
not that. I just love that they bring back the same actors.
The same actors. That's right. The same actors playing different parts. And they've had a lot of fun with it, and
sometimes they're good guys, and the next season they're bad guys. And I said the running joke for a while was you had job security if you were in Doctor Who or Harry Potter, because at some point or another you were going to jump around those two movies and shows, and now it's American Horror Story. I mean, if you start in Series 1, you're probably in Series 8 somewhere along the way.
Yeah, it is. It'll be a lot of fun to see American Horror Story Apocalypse. We have to take a little bit of a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to dive into our topic, which is the voices of pop culture.
Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
Devarius has lost everything. His parents murdered, his sister kidnapped, and the new village he called home destroyed. The Dragonia Empire is out of control, destroying anything and everything in their path, searching for the resistance. Devarius is left with no choice but to find the resistance, join them, and hope he can help them defeat the Dragonia Empire once and for all to bring peace to the land of Keldroga. Dragonia, Rise of the Wyverns, Dragonia Empire Volume 1.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We are here with the Hangin with Web Show's Radio Hour. I'm GW Pomichter.
I'm Christian Basel. Welcome back.
And we are on the line with Jon St. John, who is many of the voices in pop culture these days. You guys may know him. Anybody who's got a video controller that's ever been in their hand knows Jon St. John's voice as Duke Nukem from the Duke Nukem game series.
Oh, damn.
That's right.
Awesome.
I bring my theme with me.
I love it.
All right. Props to Lee Jackson for writing that, and Lee is in the hospital right now. We wish him the best.
Oh, yes, please. Yes, we do. All right. Well, John, we've had a lot of fun talking about the news and doing all kinds of different voices for that. The topic tonight, really, it's any topic we want it to be because it's just, we're just hanging out. But really, it's the growing role that voice actors and voices in animation and video games are playing in pop culture today. Our last big con was MegaCon back in May. We've done some smaller ones since, but we noticed that the field of people wanting to meet their favorite voices is getting the lines are longer and longer now.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, and quite an honor actually to be one of those voice actors who has people lining up to meet him.
Yeah, and what's great is that you could just send somebody else in to do it and just play a tape in the background because nobody knows what you look like.
That's true, and that's the beauty of being a voice actor too. Is I can go to a convention and be a superstar, but when I come home, I can go grocery shopping. Nobody knows who I am. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah, I mean, it's really unusual that you have cause inside the grocery line to actually just slip into Duke Nukem. I do that at the drive-thru sometimes. Just for the hell of it. There's a couple of fast food joints near me where I know there's nerds working, and I love to screw with them at the drive-up. It is. That would do it. That would do it. Somebody, hurry up. Get him his hamburger already. Right now, before I rip off your head and shit down your neck.
Well, you've had a distinguished career, not just as a voice actor. I'd say you got your start on radio.
Yeah, I was a radio broadcaster for, over 40 years. Started as a teenager in North Carolina and ended up ending my career in Los Angeles. So I made it pretty much to where I wanted to go.
That's fantastic, man. For all of you out there on the World Wide Web, before podcasting, there were these things that picked up airwaves. And it's, some of you still have them in your cars if you're not hooked to a satellite and or your cell phone.
Yeah, terrestrial radio really sucks today, though. It does.
It is. It's. We obviously pull from our forefathers, as it were, in broadcast, whether it be a broadcast television or terrestrial radio. But as the media evolves, there's just more content and more diversity in content right here on the web.
Yeah, it's a shame that what you do on the web isn't actually on broadcast radio. That would make it entertaining again, instead of everything sounding like the same homogenous blend of crap they're spitting out coast to coast thanks to corporate ownership.
Well, I got to agree with John. I meant, every time I play the terrestrial radio, they play the same 6 songs over and over and over and over. And I seriously, when I go from one place to another, I will get in my car, go to a store, and hear a song from Bruno Mars. I'll come out of the store, come back, there's that same song from Bruno Mars. I'll go down the road, go to another store, come back out, and I'll hear that same from Bruno Mars. It's like, do you guys have a track of more than 6 songs back then? I'm sure you do.
They're just they're trying to be all things to all people, and you can't do that.
Yeah.
No, I've gone the way of medias like Pandora and all that stuff. I got that playing.
Yeah, at least you get variety there.
Exactly.
Terrestrial radio, they are playing the same crap over and over again. And since huge corporations own the radio stations, doesn't matter what city you go to, you can drive across the country and hear the same garbage on broadcast stations coast to coast.
Well, and that's just it. I mean, right now there's so much more diversity in webcasting, whether it be web radio and blog talk radio, etc. And we're talking about more topics. Terrestrial radio today, if you are listening to a talk radio station, you are hearing about but nobody listens to things that argue with them. So you're listening to your opinions spewed at you about news and pop culture, or news and politics. And if you're interested in pop culture, or if you're interested in entertainment, or if you miss out, because corporations don't want to take a chance on these what they would consider niche issues. And
too afraid to offend anybody.
Yeah, so we don't want to talk about things that people are actually interested in. Instead, it's all politicians all day, all the time, and then in between we'll throw you some songs that we know you've already heard.
And John, if you're like me, I knew I hit my midlife crisis, because when I was growing up, there was an oldie station, and they would say, we're playing the best songs from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And then one day, I'm listening, goes, we're playing the best classic oldies from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. I'm like, the hell did that happen?
Right?
Yeah.
The 80s become Van Halen is classic? What?
Every
did have the best soundtrack ever.
Yeah, well, every time I have a birthday, I know that I'm getting one step closer to another decade of my life turning into classics. So, each decade that passes, I'm like, oh no, that means the 90s is classic rock. What?
Well,
Wait a minute.
Not as close to death as I am, so chill out, young man.
That's right. But
I'm counting the days until I'm gone.
With any luck, you're still on a very high number.
Crap that I've signed will be worth a lot more on eBay once I do die.
I was going to say, all those people who stood in those lines, they're counting the days too.
My God.
Yeah. I mean, as you've seen the popularity of these, voice actors go up, it's tied to the fact that more and more of what was once considered, children's property, the realm of little kids, animations and video games, is more and more in use by adult patrons.
Oh yeah, but isn't it great to have shows like Archer, Bob's Burgers?
Oh my God!
South Park, adult themed animations are just wonderful.
They are.
It's part of something like that.
There is so much. There's so much to be said now for the ability of animation and entertainment through animation to be satirical and to add social commentary and to give us all something to talk about, or just sit there and laugh your ass off.
Well, I remember back in the 80s, we're talking about 80s stuff now again, being classic. I remember the first, or at least when I was growing up, the first attempt at like the adult animated series was Heavy Metal. And then they finally put out a movie, and I think Aeon Flux was on MTV or something like that, and they were kind of steering in that way. But now that we've got Adult Swim and all those channels coming out over there,
there's more and more and more. And I know, coming from the video game voices side of it, John, you've seen that evolve over time from, I'm sure, a few lines here and there to entire character-driven storylines that you're.
Oh, sure, yeah. As technology advanced, of course, now you can put complete dialogue, in a game. The code is small enough, the files are small enough, to encode into the game. But back in the day, it was just one-liners, and that's all you could do.
Yeah. So I mean, you're okay. I just pushed B, and you're dropping a single line on me, and now you're performing an entire script. If actually multiple scripts, depending on whether or not I push B or not.
And the best parts are the cut scenes, of course, because we get to really act. You're not just still reading a line from some action sequence. Cutscenes, you're actually acting out a scene, a full scene.
Oh,
I like those.
Wow. Okay, so that we may not know, something that's sort of, cut in the backdrop somewhere, favorite scene or line or set of lines that you got to deliver that all the gamers never got to hear?
Oh.
Why not? What the hell? We do an interview show, too, so we might as well spice this up a little bit. What the hell?
Well, I got to tell you, thanks to Gearbox, they were heard. I'll give you one example from the Duke Nukem Forever game, which, by the way, all of the lines in that game were written by two women, in case you were wondering.
Nice.
But for instance, back in 2011, my son was still in high school at the time, and I was recording right here in this studio some lines for Duke Nukem Forever, and one of them was something to the effect of, "What are you talking about, you douchebag?" And my son heard me recording it from the next room, and he came over and he knocked on the door, and he goes, "Hey, nobody's douchebag anymore. The dirtiest part is the nozzle, so it's douche nozzle." Oh, thank you, son. So I alternate takes where I said, "What are you talking about, you douche?" And they laughed their heads off over at Triptych Software in 3D Realms. They went, "Oh, yeah, we got to use that." So in Duke Nukem Forever, I get to say douche nozzle. So I have some input. It's not quality input, but it's something.
Well, it is. You got to keep them up to date.
Right.
You got to keep them up to date. That's right. I hear stuff from the kids in the neighborhood that I didn't know existed. So you gotta keep up on this stuff. I hear stuff.
It's a whole new language, man.
Yeah, man. I hear stuff from Cosplay Michael that I've never heard of.
Give me some examples.
He just kind of walks in the room and he says stuff, and I'm like, "What the hell is in my game, Dad?" I'm like, "What?"
I need a millennial to add this for me, please.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, please. Can I have a millennium, please? When you go to Walmart now, you'll be able to command one of those when you're buying a videotape. Oh, never mind. When you're buying a card so that you can have access to a video that you will no longer have in your possession, you can always ask, "What does this do?" And somebody in Walmart will say, "Calling a millennial, please. Calling a millennial to the front counter."
I love that meme picture where there's a picture of a cassette and a pencil, and they'll say, "The kids today will never understand."
No.
Oh, was that for writing the label? I don't shut up, kid.
When I grew up, there were two video games as far as I cared for. One was Doom, and the other was Duke Nukem. And I loved Duke Nukem because I would walk around the street praying to God that Duke would say something new while I was, going to the bathroom or picking up weapons or looking in the mirror and stuff like that. And I begin to wonder, and I know we talked about this before, as like Duke. I think Duke is a millennial. He would never probably even be conceived today.
Oh, hell no. No way.
It's a different time, and now Duke today, like, would he survive? It's almost like, would Andrew Dice Clay survive here?
You got to wonder, but you know what? That can also be spun into comedy. If I may go off tangent here for a moment.
Please.
You know about the Duke Nukem movie being made, right?
Yes.
I heard about that, and I was excited.
Okay, so it is happening. Paramount bought the rights from Gearbox. Michael Bay is directing. If you're going to make a Duke Nukem movie, you might as well have Michael Bay, do all the explosions and shit. But Jon Cena will star as, and here's the issue that I have, is that it should have been an R-rated CG film, in my opinion, because anything could happen. Plus, you could have Duke still being that misogynistic, outdated womanizer who has a new sidekick who is the comedy element to it by trying to keep Duke on track with, dude, that's inappropriate. We don't do that. We don't say that anymore. We don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And it could have been a great, Duke not only had a sidekick, but also a new comic relief. And it could have brought him into today's culture. It could have updated Duke. And I think that would have been great.
Well, and I think a lot of, we're kind of on the cusp of that generational change where a lot of times I don't think that that millennial perspective understands how much they owe to the satire that is Duke Nukem. Christian, you threw out just random naming. You were like, well, could Andrew Dice Clay survive today? Many of our current attitudes owe a lot to the satirical stereotypes that Duke Nukem and these over the top things are what actually pointed out to us. Oh wait, maybe not to that degree, but I know that guy.
What, do you think I had something to do with the Me Too movement?
I think you started it. It's all you. It's all you.
That's all right.
We're gonna say that's all Duke Nukem. There we go. That's right.
Oh.
John brought.
It's all my fault. It's with me with your hair, baby.
Yeah. So if it wasn't for those over the top stereotypes, though, nobody would have taken a more reflective or self-reflective look at behaviors. And it's comedians, it's satirists that take a look at these things. We make fun of them, we make them larger than life, and then later on they look at us and they go, "Hey, how could you guys possibly have done that?"
Well, as long as we're on the subject, do you think it was too soon for Louis C.K. to come back and go on stage in New York recently?
Personally, no. I think this is one of those things that we're going to have to try to, as a society, we're in a moment in flux. Me Too is, right here, we're on the air, I'm going to say Me Too is a phenomenal movement for those who have been victimized by these behaviors. At the same time, as a society, we have a nasty habit. We rush to judgment. As soon as it comes out, as soon as you admit that you behave poorly, all of these things, we fire you, we blackball you, we exile you to a tiny island in your own mind, and then we never let you come out. Now, he said nothing so far to indicate remorse or to indicate a change in behavior. But
at the same time, he didn't whip his cock out and stroke it in front of the audience. So
which is personal growth. So so yeah, I think we have to growth. I think with things like this, we have to give it its due time. It's one show. Let's see where it goes. Let's see if there is. If there has been a transition in behaviors, because...
Okay, personal question then.
Sure.
You, GW, would you go see Louis C.K. if you had tickets to see him tomorrow night?
Ooh, yeah, just because I
mean, you talk a good game.
Yeah, I haven't... honestly...
tickets by Duke Nukem, who wants to take you to see Louis C.K.
That's right.
Do you go?
There we go. There's a headline tomorrow morning. GW Pomichter with Duke Nukem. Watching Louis C.K. Wow, this will be fun. I think I would. I think if I had the opportunity. First of all, I don't get out of the house very much, so look, I'm game. Let's go.
Well, let me just say that FUCK, let me know.
Oh wow, that was.
I think that hurt just a little bit.
That hurt just a little bit. Ouch. It really did. Ouch. That was awesome. Okay, well, Dina is flashing her hands for another break, but I know she's lying because she lied to us the last time, so she's going to wait another 3 minutes. There you go.
Well, I appreciate there's a thing about the Me Too movement, and I think what's happening here is the problem with it is people are throwing a novelty on it. It means something. It means something to people, men and women, who have been abused, who have been taken advantage of. But when now Hollywood takes it to another level, we're going to wear skimpy black dresses to an award show to showcase this. I'm like, I think we're kind of losing sight of what this thing is.
Well, I think that's a common problem. I think in things that are popularly viewed by a mass number of people. The common problem is we always take it to the next level.
It's not a novelty. Mm-hmm. It just isn't a novelty. It means something to people, and when you try to, I guess for a better term, make it into a novelty, then it starts wearing off because people are going like, well, this is a joke.
Well, I think...
and they lose sight of what this thing is.
Well, I think less than 3 days after there was a hashtag for it, somebody put it on a T-shirt. It then became a novelty. It's what we do, sadly, in our society today, is that we take something that is of import for discussion, and we dive all in. And like I said... immediately response. If you're accused, you're fired. Well, wait a minute. Time out. Do we actually want to know if I did this thing? If you confess, you're fired faster. And if I can get your face on a T-shirt with a logo, you're fired, and I can make some money. So it's systemic. It's a problem when you put people in a group. We act badly sometimes. And so I think, again, I would bear it out. Let's see if he is actually if he's making his efforts to reform his behaviors. I would assume
if he will be forgiven.
Whoa, therein is probably a much, much deeper issue.
The other extreme is that when it first came out, there were like all these people being taught the bus, but people like George Takei, who was absolved. I mean, there was nothing there. I mean, the implications of it just being in existence are probably more damaging than to anything. Being convicted in the public court of opinion is horrible, and especially if you haven't done anything, you're absolved of it, then you still are, you have this hanging over your head. The damage is already done.
Well, we used Duke Nukem as an in route. We dove way off a topic, but we dove into it. But that's okay. That's good. You know what? I think we dove into a bigger topic, and which is good because it's. We talked about the millennial perspective and where it comes from and the hard work we did so that we could take stereotypes and make them funny and look back at them and go, oh, my God, were guys really like that or whatever. But in point of fact, and I throw this out for the crowd, are we inadvertently building a world for millennials where there's no such thing as a guy and a girl? Are we building a world where there's no such thing as being able to be attracted to and voice it? How do you ask for a date if you're not allowed to say you're pretty?
You swipe right, don't you?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Swipe right. Wow.
I hear there is a new trend, and I just heard this morning on some news outlet, that millennials are beginning to shift back to slow dating, which is the old-fashioned method. Meet somebody at work, meet somebody at a social function, meet somebody at a bar, as opposed to just going, yeah, you look hot, let's hook up.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I saw the same article you did, I think. And they were talking about the fact that it is something that people are moving back to classic dating stands. But when we come back, since we're on the topic anyway, let's talk about that. You hit the nail right on the head, John, with you meet somebody at a bar, you meet somebody out and about, or you meet somebody at work. Ooh, that's the tough one today. That's the really tough one today because that's where everybody's getting into trouble. If you meet somebody at work and you say, hey, I love your eyes, all of a sudden you're not looking at her eyes. And you're in trouble.
Well, that's just about guys learning to frickin' grow up and act respectful to women. I mean, come on. That's not brain surgery.
That's true. It is. It shouldn't be brain surgery
in this country. That's the problem.
It shouldn't be brain surgery to be able to be respectful and still communicate your interest. But
we need more gentlemen.
Wow. We've needed those for like 80 years, though.
Maybe gentleman classes should be taught in high school.
Oh, I like him.
Of course you do.
Don't you think that would help?
You know what? It would. Etiquette. I see your damn timer. Okay, fine. We're going to talk about that when we get back. Etiquette, protocol. How do you communicate with people? Should we teach that stuff in high school instead of, I don't know,
on YouTube?
Oh, God. You'll never find that on YouTube.
This important message about your breath.
In the summer of 1953, private investigator Will Lucky Marks was working as the in-house private eye for Arcane Pacific Pictures. Trapped inside the studio with the killer, Lucky must find the killer before time runs out. Lot 28. Own it today. Available iTunes and Amazon.com.
Discarded by Michael J. Allen. In a world where magic is sold like designer coffee, unknown forces have corrupted it, and it's killing people. Now, an unlikely hero emerges. A homeless ex-con creating spells out of a trash can is the only one who can save the city. Michael J. Allen's Discarded, available on Amazon.com.
All right, we're back. We're listening to the Hangin' With Web Show Radio Hour on Krypton Radio. I'm G.W. Pomichter.
I'm Christian Basel, and thank you to all the millennials who decided to stay after the commercial.
Yes, thank you for staying on the line. We are going to pick on you some more. But in fairness, we have picked on ourselves quite a bit, too. We acknowledge that we brought you here, in sometimes by not knowing how to be a gentleman. Sometimes we knew how, and we just chose to ignore it anyway. But yeah, that's where we are today. And we've been talking about the effect of stereotypes on the millennial culture and how those, they look back, and I think they think we were all like that.
Oh, God, I hope not.
I agree.
We were, guys, if you're a millennial and you're listening to the show, the reason that we laugh when we saw that is because we were poking fun.
Right?
We didn't...
we can enjoy watching old James Bond movies, but come on, you don't walk around slapping chicks' asses.
That's right.
You just don't do it.
That's right. They have special...
Sean Connery made it look good, didn't he?
He did. He made it look wicked cool. He made it look wicked cool.
I hate that those days are gone. No, I didn't.
But here's the thing. Sean Connery could get away with it because, let's face it, that was one hell of a man specimen for those days.
It was the voice.
There you go.
That's what I'm saying. It literally, Chris Evans could get away with it because did you see those pecs?
Yes, but guess what? Chris Evans would never do it.
Because he's Captain America. Come on.
That's right, because he's a gentleman. Anyway, he took the class.
There you go.
He took the class.
That's what we're talking about.
That's right. Should we teach our young men to be gentlemen? Should we teach them etiquette, protocol for good communication with young women?
Well, that's a good point.
Absolutely.
A lot of people don't know who Miss Manners is anymore, and we laugh, ha-ha, with the Miss Manners thing, but I'll tell you what, she had a point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They, believe it or not, there was a time when not just parents, but, books and everything else taught us how to interact within socially accepted. But we didn't need laws. We didn't need people walking around with, handcuffs to tell us not to do that. We learned it growing up. I think that's not a bad idea. John hit the nail right on the head. I think.
Yeah, and yet here we are in a so politically correct environment that you can be sued something you say at the drop of a hat anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
it's tricky. So being a gentleman and being socially polite to your fellow American or fellow human being is just a great way to stay out of trouble too, isn't it? Just be nice, people.
That's right. Be nice. Don't get sued. Don't get arrested. Don't get fired. Just be nice.
Stop grabbing that pussy.
That's exactly
right. You should stop. Yes. And it should
not happen.
It should start at the top. Wait. Everyone in this room made that dirty. Everyone in this room made that dirty.
There we
go. Wow. What?
Nothing.
Wow. Guys, I am so not getting any for like the next 10 years of my life. The whole room went dead silent.
That's not true.
I just wish I could see the looks Dina's giving you right now.
Dina can't look up. She's been laughing for about 40 minutes, so we're good. Yeah. So okay.
Guy, huh?
Yeah. So obviously,
she has a very mean stink eye. Let me tell you.
Yeah, she can't stop laughing. No, really, you have to stop. No.
And it's funny when she talks about herself in the third person, too. I dig that.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Yeah. That's actually kind of funny.
That's
okay.
Not
So out there in the Hangin' With Web Show land, John has just discovered something that the rest of you should have already known. But if you don't, we're here in the studio, and we have
Dina Marie,
and we also have
Sage Ia,
and. That's why there are two female voices. So, whereas I'm pretty sure Dina would talk about herself in the third person, mostly it's been Sage talking about Dina.
Yes.
So, which is always a lot of fun anyway. But yeah, that is, wow, we went way off on tangent. Now I'm introducing people again.
2 chicks, 1 voice.
2 chicks, 1 voice.
There's the
that's where I'm leaving that. Wow.
Isn't it? Never mind.
Yeah. I just joined the Me Too movement. No.
Surprise.
Stop me if I go too far.
Oh, my Lord, have mercy.
Off, okay?
Oh, Lord.
Save me from myself.
We're on the line, everybody. If you've been listening since the beginning of the show, you already know this. If you just tuned in right now, where have you been? You're late. We should not have to stop the show for you, but we will tell you we are on the line with Jon St. John, the voice of Duke Nukem, and many other of your favorite pop culture voices. John, in addition to your voiceover work, we understand you have 3 episodes of Conquest.
Ah, yes. How nice of you to bring that up. That's a web series that I'm hosting on my YouTube channel, Conquest with Jon St. John. And it's about me and my my professional handler, my sidekick, and my manager, and now a new cast member being introduced in episode 4, Barbara, who travel around with me around the world going to conventions and just the silly crap we do at conventions, so people who don't get a chance to go to conventions can see what goes on. That's basically what the show is.
We want you all to understand, if you haven't been to a convention, you want to check out this show, and you want to ask yourself the question, what is wrong with the choices I've made in my life?
Or why are people going to these things? What's it all about?
I
want to know.
That's right. You know, one of the great things that we found in the journey that we've been on, going to conventions and being around, this is such a great show. There's 3 episodes out there right now, guys, of Jon St. John's Conquest. Check them out. Learn a little bit about what con culture is, because this is, for us, it's about every month and a half, and it is one of the biggest family reunions you'll ever go to.
That's right. That's right. And, you know, it really is family in the con community. We all know each other. We respect each other more than anything, I think.
That's right.
Everybody at conventions, you know, and I'm older than most of the, you know, the people who show up at conventions. They're all strange. They're weird. They're nerds. They're geeks. They're odd. They're socially awkward. And we love it because everybody's accepted at con. That's the beauty of it.
That is the beauty of it, and that's just it. And I want to say, you know, con culture comes from what is modern pop culture, but what classically was what the stereotypical nerd culture, geek culture.
Subculture.
It was subculture. We were subculture. We were the guys getting stuffed in our lockers back in the day, before they wrote the Revenge of the Nerds movies. That was us. And
I just want to tell you, I was never stuffed in the locker.
I don't have the attributes needed
other places.
Oh my Lord, we went that way. Okay, and she knew it was going to happen,
I didn't,
so
actually.
She went right in there willingly.
We're talking about the cat now.
There we go.
You set them up, I'll knock them down.
There you go, man. Well, I'll tell you what. But we were subculture. And so for those of you that, you know, remember that back in the days with John and I and the 3 guys that used to hang out with us because nobody else would, you'll remember that the role of genders, the role of races has always been, we lead the way when it comes to just be nice. Just show the world the way it should be, whether it's in comic culture, whether it is satirically through our video games and our animations, or whether it's on the con floor. Show the world the way you know that it should be.
We see people. That's all we
see. People, and it's a great environment to be in. So check out Jon St. John's Conquest, 30 episodes. It's a web series on YouTube. Check that out. We will throw some links in the description of this if you're catching us after the fact, because you.
Oh, bless you.
Had some of our listeners have had some kind of a hospital emergency and they couldn't stay on with us during the hour, so they had to look at it later. And so we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt and put some description down there.
I have a question for John.
You have a question for John?
I have an answer for you.
Because I know that he happens to have a drone.
A drone?
Yes, he does.
I do. I have a Mavic Pro.
Yes. Well, have you used it at all for Conquest?
Absolutely, I have. In the first episode and in the trailer, you can see shots of the Kai Convention Center in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Really nice aerial shots. Those were all taken with my drone. And to all conventions, when I get a chance to use it, if it's not a restricted area, to fly over the venue and shoot some of it. I just shot some in this last July in Put-in Bay, Ohio for Put-in PlayCon, and that's actually episode 4. You'll see a couple of drone shots, though. They were a little shaky because the winds were so high that day.
Oh, that is so awesome. Hey, hold on a minute. Sage, ready?
Yes.
Ready? Dina, can we have a drone?
No.
Damn it!
She's so mean.
We tried. We made it sound so cool. John made it sound really cool too. We have been
guy being formed on the side of the room. Not even there.
We tried. Wow. What's coming up for you, John? What do you got coming down the pipe right now?
Oh, lots of things. The main thing I'm working on right now, aside from Conquest, was just a little fun side project, basically, is my own convention, which is a cruise con next February from Miami to the Bahamas for 3.5 days.
Oh, awesome.
That's fantastic.
It's called NotCon at Sea, and if you're interested in checking it out, let me give the picture, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Coming along on the cruise with me is the voice of GLaDOS from the Portal series. That's Ellen McLean.
Awesome.
Her husband, John Patrick Lowry, who's Sniper. He'll be there. Todd Habercorn, who's involved in every anime project practically ever and was Spock on Star Trek Continues. He's a guest. Wes Johnson, who's Shea Gorath in the Elder Scrolls and also the voice of the Stanley Cup champion Washington Capitals. Wes Johnson will be there, as well as Michael Allen Rawson, who's many of the voices you hear in the Fallout series. And so it's next February from Miami to the Bahamas, as I mentioned. And for less than $700, you get absolutely everything. Your badge, your cabin, the adventures, and all the alcohol you can pour down your throat for 3 days.
Wait a minute. So I'm on a boat.
Right.
I'm on a boat with all of my geek friends.
Mm-hmm.
I'm drunk. And so where is the downside
and no survivors
here?
Yeah, there's no downside to this. In fact, there are a lot of really cool upsides. For instance, Royal Caribbean has just done a $90 million refit of the ship we get. It's going to be their most luxurious in the fleet, and built a custom laser tag arena on it. And GLaDOS will be in our laser tag adventure.
Oh wow.
Geez.
How cool is that?
Oh, yes. My goodness.
That is wicked
cool. We heard about NotCon at Sea. Not long ago, we were over in Tampa Bay. We were at
we were at the Renaissance Fair.
That's right, we were at the Renaissance Fair.
Oh, that's where Jonesy, my sidekick, is right now.
Yes, that's exactly
Jonesy,
right.
otherwise known for the Hangin' with Web Show guest.
On the show.
Well, remember, Chippy was on the Hangin' with Web Show. That's right, and that's fantastic. So, guys, check out NotCon at Sea.
www.notcon.us.
He's so fantastic.
I'm telling you. We're just gonna hang out on the line and just record him talking for about an hour. 'Cause, it'll be great.
I'll do some liners for you.
There you go. So, guys, we have to take one more break, and we'll come back and we'll wrap it up with Jon St. John because Dina's giving me the stink eye again. Go ahead, pay the bills.
This important message.
Channeling the Mothership is an exciting journey into the higher mysteries. Certified psychic medium and clairvoyant Jerry McDaniel's readings, writings, and messages have been received by thousands of people in more than 45 countries. These messages have been obtained by channeling his higher self. How does he do it? Is it a blessing or a curse? And what lay beyond the reach of your five senses? These mysteries and so much more are examined in this explosive book, Channeling the Mothership. Explore the mysteries of the spiritual and the metaphysical. Channeling the Mothership by author Jerry McDaniel. Available on Amazon.com today.
Hi, I'm Cosplay Michael with the Hangin' with Web Show, and you're listening to Krypton Radio. And remember, cosplay's for everyone.
The Hanging with Web Show Radio Hour on Krypton Radio, bringing you the very best in pop culture talk radio. Each Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, the Hanging with Web Show Radio Hour with your hosts G.W. Pomichter and Christian Basel, who are hanging with rising pop culture newcomers as well as superstar icons. The Hanging with Web Show Radio Hour. Tune in Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Who are you hanging with?
Hey, I know that last commercial.
I do too.
Wow. I will tell you.
Pipes on that guy.
I will tell you right now, I didn't get the check for that last one. I'm saying. Anyway.
I want to hear you say, in a world, in a land before time.
Me?
Yeah, Christian. You're the guy, man. You're the voice here, buddy.
Come on, Christian. Come on.
You got it. You can do this.
In a land before time.
Nice.
Outstanding. There you go. Awesome.
By the way, if you ever get a little golf clap, a shot of penicillin, clear that right up for you.
Nice.
Awesome. You know, we the overall topic, everybody out there in radio and World Wide Web land, the overall topic tonight has been the growing voices of pop culture, the popularity of voice actors and their characters across the pop culture world. We've talked about some of Jon's projects, and of course, we talked about even the social ramifications of said popularity. So let's dive in real quick to the market. As voice acting and has become more and more popular, how has it been competitive-wise? You got a lot of young guys coming up that are looking at this thinking, for the first time as a young guy, they're thinking, hey, that's a career. I can do that.
Oh, yeah.
Can
Far
they?
more today than ever before. I mean, the field is really congested right now. There are so many people who want to do voice acting. And as I mentioned earlier, I was listening, before we went on the air, I was listening to some other voice actor demos out there. And there's a lot of folks who don't quite have the chops yet that are trying to get the work. And I got to say, until they learn to mimic the voices they're hearing, already on national commercials and projects like that, they've got a long way to go. It took me, when I got out of radio and started just voice acting, it was a good 6 to 7 years before I had a client base big enough to make a living just doing voiceovers.
What would you say? What is the single most important piece of advice you could give one of these young guys or gals that are out there thinking, okay, I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to train my voice.
Don't get started.
Yeah. Well, usually when I talk to an artist in general, I say, first, don't tell your mom. But then,
Right? God, my dad, when I got into radio, it was 5-6 years into my career before my father said, stop saying, when are you going to get a real job? Being a DJ back in the 70s and 80s was, he didn't think it was something, but that was still a day of radio. I was a star when I was very young.
I was going to say, in those days, I mean, the DJs could be superstars. I mean, I don't know. We're talking to millennials. I know we're on the World Wide Web, but I think everybody on the show here is old enough. We all remember Wolfman Jack.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. That
Charlie
super...
Tuna, Robert W. Morgan, the Don Steele. There were so many. Shotgun Tom Kelly, who's still on the air out here in Southern California.
Hello.
But and now we're up to our long distance dedication. It's about a dead dog. I'm sorry. but back to the original question. The number one piece of advice that I give to the youngsters who want to get into the business is don't quit your day job, because it's an acting job, and most actors do. They wait tables because you're all waiting on another job to come along, and learn. Here's another really good piece of advice. Learn how to manage your money well, because you will not have a steady paycheck coming in. Yeah. You have to sock away your money so that you can live on it when you're not booking anything.
Absolutely. Great, both good pieces. And, of course, the one that we always give to all of our creative artists, please, 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 in a market that grows every day on the Internet, every day through modern technology, please do your very best. Educate yourselves. Master your craft.
Right.
It's not just a hobby. It can be a lot of fun. Master your craft. Learn how to do this.
And for God's sake, don't let your movie trailer demo start with "in a world."
Yes, please stop. We have too many worlds.
People.
That's right. There are too many worlds at this point.
There are too many voiceovers.
Too many voiceover.
And the other thing.
Yes.
Everybody imitating Morgan Freeman. Stop it!
Yes, because we all know one thing is for sure. There is only one Morgan Freeman.
Yes. Yes, there are plenty of sound-alikes out there, that's for damn sure, because everybody's trying to mimic him.
That's right, but remember when
I
Morgan...
did appreciate the titty sprinkles. That one
I did very much appreciate that. There is one guy on YouTube that I have enjoyed watching him do Morgan Freeman, because, damn. But other than that, remember everybody, Morgan Freeman does it, it's just his voice.
Yeah. The best imitation I've heard is a white guy who lives in Holland by the name of Boet Schoen. And he does the best Morgan Freeman impression I've ever heard. In fact, on my YouTube channel, there's a video of Duke gets to the gates of heaven, and he's stopped by God, and God is played by Morgan Freeman. And that's Boet doing the voice, and it's just spot on.
Wow. It is, I mean, it is, like, as you pointed out, it is one of the most popular voices to do. But again, guys, master your craft. Remember, Morgan does it. He's just talking.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, he's not faking anything. That's just the way he sounds.
Yeah, that's just...
I'll have to copy him. You
yeah.
know?
Yeah, you know, when we first started the radio hour shows, because I'm used to the video screen, where I pay attention to what I sound like, but I don't obsess over it. So I think the first few episodes of even the radio hour, I'm leaning into my mic, trying to sound like John, and I can't. So now I just had to. That's right. I had to just kind of admit that, you know what, I have to find my voice somewhere.
And you have a fine voice, man. You sound great.
Well,
so yeah.
That's right. But how come Dina and Sage keep telling me to shut up? I don't understand. No.
If you use it too much.
That's possibly the truth. You got a thumbs up from Dina. It's a radio show. No one can see you.
Hey, be quiet
Everything
for a minute.
in moderation.
Be quiet for a minute, because I want to ask John a question.
Can you get him to shut up? Let's find out.
No, sometimes not. No, do you have a favorite voice out of your whole collection of voices? Whether it's something that you've done in your career or just fun to play around the house with. Do you have a favorite voice?
Yeah, I go to my Patrick Stewart impression a lot, but even though it's a bad impression, that's where a lot of characters come from. In Guild Wars 2, my Admiral Kunkka voice is my Patrick Stewart impression, and in World of War, the original King Varian Rin was a role I played, and that was just my bad Patrick Stewart voice. So don't be afraid to imitate other voices. Don't try to get take work from that person with that voice. but if you imitate their voices, you come up with a new one. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. I mean, I think around here the most fun that we had with the kids when they were growing up and they were taking theater classes was accents, playing with accents. Because
Absolutely.
You always find a new voice, something a little, cool in there, whether you're trying to do Jersey or...
Well, sometimes I have little tiny Russian child inside of me wants to come out.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And for me, it's an English voice. I always... I don't know why it is, but for some reason, inevitably, I become English at some point. Whether it's stuffy or Liverpudlian like the Beatles. Yeah, I'm always doing that kind of stuff, and I can't when I'm alone, never in front of people, because that's just embarrassing.
Wow, man. We are down to the final 2 minutes.
Oh my!
Tick-tock, tick-tock.
So
I can't believe it. It's
countdown.
Boom. And as we do that, we have little bits of housekeeping to do, but we want to thank Jon St. John for being on the show, for talking about voice acting, for sharing some wonderful, humorous moments with us, and some very deep, dark, serious ones. Wow. Well, he brought his A game tonight, I'll tell you. So, but we do want to take those final 2 minutes. We want to do some housekeeping. We want to thank our partners and friends without whom we could not do the show. We want to thank the folks over at Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida, Space Coast Comics and Space Coast Comic-Con, Something Unique Magazine out of St. Louis, very first partner, very first sponsor on the show. We want to thank them for sticking with us for 2 years. Apparently, they have nothing better to do with their money. So we want to thank Off the Chain Radio on Blog Talk Radio with author Yvonne Mason, our good friends at Pound the Grape Wine Bar in Melbourne, Florida, and our new friends Embellish Effects in Orlando, Florida. All your cosplay needs. If you just want to be somebody else, if you want, you know what?
I want to be a zombie.
They can do it. They can do it. Embellish Effects. They can do it. You know what they do on a regular basis is they turn guys with giant Adam's apples into drag phenoms.
Gorgeous.
Yes. I don't know how they do it.
I'm surprised nobody's ever come up with this in years, and they're the first ones to do it, and they're in downtown Orlando, and it's a beautiful shop. Literally a cosplay shop.
That is fantastic. And we want to also thank our great people here at Krypton Radio for allowing us...
Radio.
That's right, for allowing us to spew our stuff for an hour at a time. We have to wrap it up. We've been on the air with Jon St. John, the voice of Duke Nukem, and many others. Check him out on the web. We're going to put his YouTube links in here. We're going to put his IMDb links in here. We're going to put all those things in here so you can find him, stalk him.
Link me, baby.
I will get all the links.
she will get all the links. Okay, as we wrap it up, guys, thank you so much. Thank you, all of you out on Krypton Radio, for listening to the show and putting up with our stuff. Thank you, Dina and Sage, for putting up with me on a regular basis. And also
to catch me on Galaxy's podcast every week on Krypton Radio as well for all your Doctor Who geeking. Check me out with Dr. Squee and Dottie Who.
There you go. You've been listening to the Hangin' with Web Show Radio Hour. I'm GW Pomichter.
I'm Christian Basel, and that man is
Duke Nukem.
And as far as you know, we're telling the truth. So, with that being said, remember, everybody, keep logging on, keep tuning in, and see who we're hanging with next.